Alright, so I've noticed that whenever me and my friends who are like similar to my age, when we hang out, pretty much every time we are just like clowning on AI or like complaining about AI, and I don't know, there just seems to be, I've noticed a pattern to that. The pattern, of course, is we, as in Gen Z folks, just hate AI. We're sick of it. We hate it. I made a video just kind of talking about how, in some ways, I don't really relate to Gen Z, but this is like the big one thing that I can absolutely relate to. I mean, just like saying AI, that feels like a dirty word. I shouldn't be saying it, I shouldn't be hearing it, and here it is, I guess. But this kind of like aversion or hatred, I'd rather use that word, towards AI in a weird way, or maybe not of a weird way, it gives me hope. It really does. And you can look at examples throughout history of like, I don't know, this kind of phenomenon that we're experiencing right now where there's some crazy new technology and either people reject it or embrace it slowly. And right now, I think we're at a bit of a crossroads in a way. Like, the example I'm thinking of too is like, if you think whatever, just recently, number of years back, the metaverse by Mark Zuckerberg, that crazy man, he kind of unveiled it and was like, this is the future of technology and the future of social media and work and whatever. And we were all like, nope, that's stupid. And I guess, like, whatever, their VR stuff still exists in certain niches, but it's not this big thing, this next step in social media type of thing that the company was claiming at the time. So, yes, whenever I talk with my Gen Z friends, it comes up pretty often about how much we dislike and hate AI. But I've noticed that talking to older folks, like, I don't know, millennials, Gen X, boomers, the older you get in that, I don't know, age progression, I feel like the less people care generally. I said that millennials are like similar enough in our beliefs and hatred towards AI, but there's still some of them that like don't care as much and they'll still like casually use AI. And then I feel like that percentage goes up with Gen X and that percentage goes up with boomers. I'm not out here trying to like start a generation war or like add to it because really I think it's stupid. I think it doesn't help us to hate boomers really. I think it's all right to like call out the things they say and do, but I get along with a lot of boomers. They're just through work, previous jobs I've had where I've worked with boomers and like I connect with them on like a very personal level. In fact, I think it's a little bit easier for me to, as a whole, connect with like millennial and boomer, Gen X, whatever, than it is generally for Gen Z. But anyways, as it relates to Gen Z, one of the times we were talking, this guy, my friend, who's just like a year or two younger than me, he was telling me about a coworker, a boomer coworker, who was saying like, why don't you use AI to like help you come up with some video ideas? He's a YouTube video creator, and I don't know, that just like made me feel like I don't know. If I like tell someone a problem about a person or whatever, and then they tell me like, oh yeah, you should just kill that person. That's the kind of reaction. I'm like, what? Like, did you actually just say that? I don't know if that metaphor made any sense, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's almost like no. If I'm having a writer's block, like going to AI for ideas, that's not the solution. But I don't know. For whatever reason, like I said, as you get older, people just have less of a problem with AI and like the implications of it. And there's a multitude of reasons. There's also a billion videos about AI on this platform here, but like it's still crazy to think about. That's like actually what people think, right? I personally don't even use like ChatGPT or like anything, even as just like a casual search engine, because I think that the casual use of any technology, especially nowadays, it signals to the company that's developing it, creating it, that there still is interest in their product, and that they should continue developing it. I think that also tech companies are not necessarily creating AI for beliefs that like this technology will actually help, or on the contrary, they're not actually creating this technology to like be malicious and like kill artists or whatever. They're only making this technology, and I can say this with almost fact, they're only developing like Gen AI tools because there's money to be made there. They wouldn't be doing this if there is no money to be made in Gen AI. You know, that is their language, is how much money can we make off this. So if we, as you know, people, or I guess as Gen Z people too, if we can show these companies that no, there is no money to be made here, like screw you guys, they will stop developing it. So that's kind of the reason I don't use like ChatGPT on principle alone. But yeah, I think I said it before, I'll say it again. This hatred of AI gives me hope. This is kind of a sidebar, but it'll relate back to the main thing. But I made a video about Backrooms and my thoughts on it. I don't know how to link these things because I'm a little bit of a Luddite. Maybe I'm a little bit too proud to admit that. But in that video, I basically said that it's a good thing that like smaller creators or just like younger voices are given like a big budget platform. And I could be wrong on this, but at least from a critical reception, the Backrooms movie gained a better like critical reception than the Star Wars movie that came out. And that's huge. That's crazy to think about. You know, Star Wars is one of the biggest, if not like the biggest sci-fi movie franchise pretty much ever. To me, if I were to like look into that kind of statistic more than I should, I would say as far as like audiences go, especially like younger audiences, Gen Z, they care more about the contents of a package rather than the name that's slapped on the package, right? And like I said, I'll relate that to the main point of this video, but I say that because when it comes to this, you know, package or a product or whatever, something created by AI will always be inferior to the potential of a product or a package with actual like human artistic intent. Now, I mean, I don't know. Humans can create like really bad art, and I guess like on an objective standpoint, AI could create better work than a human. And I'm just talking more morally about like art, music, whatever. But even bad art has a soul. Even with bad art, like someone sat down with this idea, they put this idea in some kind of tangible form. They may have like again sat with that tangible form, they might have revised it, they might have started over and done it again. There's a little piece of the creator in the work that they create, no matter how small it is. And it's really hard to find that with AI, like art or anything. And I do think that Gen Z has a better eye or a sense for like finding that genuine soul in their entertainment or their art, and they can see right through it when it's not there. Now, I had my issues with Backrooms. It was a good movie. It was a good watch. It was worth the ticket price and all. But like, I had my issues with it, and I did explain that like all in my video, my previous video. But I will say, the production felt very human. With all of its flaws, this was a movie, an idea that was thought up and executed by a human. I have this thing that I repeat in my head of like, to me, masterpieces need flaws. It's not a masterpiece without flaws in it, because once again, that's the soul that you put into it. We're humans. We're not flawless. So that's what I mean when I say masterpieces need flaws. They're not masterpieces because they're flawless. They're masterpieces because they're really good in spite of their flaws. I'm not saying that Backrooms was a masterpiece. I think it was far from that, but it was a very like good start. I hope that King Pixels makes more movies. Honestly, really, because I see a lot of potential there, and he is very capable, or at least his team is very capable of making something a true masterpiece. But anyways, I got like sidetracked for a minute there. We only lose the fight for AI or against AI if we end up giving up and giving in. One of the main reasons why, I mean, at least from outside looking in, why the hippies kind of faded out is because eventually the dream just died. They stopped caring. And I'm not like entirely blaming the hippies or the boomers or whatever, but right now is a really good time to, you know, fight against the powers that be, because normal people can have a platform. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a good place to leave it. I'll leave it open to discussion. I can't make anyone do anything, but I do really like it when people share their thoughts in the comments. I mean, you know, This is our fight, I guess. So yeah, if you want, clown on AI in the comments or like share a story or something. I don't know, but I hope this video was somewhat cohesive. I kind of like blacked out for a minute because I really hate AI. Sometimes I just be saying words, but with that, I'm out. Peace.